What's going on, people? We are here for another episode of the Real Podcast. I think you can tell by everybody's reaction right now that, well, not everybody. I mean, really, Rue. I think Rue's probably the only one giving us a reaction right now. But we're here for another episode. I think if you've been in tune with everything we've been saying on social and everything, you'll see that we are going to do a few reactions here and there. You would have seen the topics as well. And unfortunately, again, it's a full squad today, but we got Felix. Felix, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. To sort of cheer myself up after that hour and a half I saw of Arsenal, but we move. The trim is peak, the performance is bleak, but we move.
Look at that, man. We got a comment from Ralph saying, "I love you guys." We miss him today. Unfortunately, he's not here with us. But Ralph, we'll hopefully we'll see you next week, wherever you're doing, anywhere in London or wherever you might be. We'll see you next week. But Sam as well. I think the hood kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? Because last week we saw your face, saw your hair, we saw everything, and now look.
Bro, it's the ones that hurt you the most, man.
And Rue, your game currently is going on. I've actually got the game next to me right now. I'm kind of watching, and I remember you before anything, you were like, "Oh, Liverpool we're about to get decimated by Jamie Vardy and Leicester and blah blah blah." I mean, 2-0. It is nearly half time, but 2-0.
Last time I got cocky, I was laughing at Man United, who just went 6-1 down to Tottenham at their own ground. And then look what happened to me live on our podcast straight after. 7-2. I'm not taking any chances anymore. Right? This is going well, so I'm not. I didn't even like. I felt bad for laughing at what Johnny Evans just did in front of goal, but I thought we got a pen then. Oh, just talk about something else.
But anyway, guys, like I mentioned, I put it out onto the Reveal platform. Put it out onto earlier today that we were going to start with this, and that's more for us in the group chat who actually are Arsenal fans, because we saw everything that kind of went on in the game today. There's obviously talking points here and there, but I'm sure everyone has their own view, and I'll put it out to you guys again quickly before we go on. Look what Ralph said, Rue. Apparently you look like a pro FIFA player. But I'll put it across everybody. He does because of the top that he's wearing, and obviously the setup and everything in his room. He just kind of looks like he's about to hit a live tournament. But yeah, I mean, for us Arsenal fans in the chat, or not in the chat, sorry, in the stream today, I think it's well worth that we actually mention a few points. Now, I think I mentioned earlier that I had a few things I wanted to get off my chest, but I won't go first. I'm gonna pass the mantle to Felix to go first. Just give us a quick reaction of Leeds versus Arsenal today.
Man, that side tells it all, doesn't it? But it's, I think from that performance we see, like a lot of Arsenal fans can agree that it's a little worrying at the moment because of recent performances. Obviously, after the tail end of last year, the FA Cup, followed by the Community Shield, everyone was expecting us to literally just kick on and just move to, well, pretty much maybe other Invincibles almost. Some people probably might have looked at it that way with how well we may have set up or how well we played last year. Everyone was expecting a straight away from this season kick off, good performance after good performance. But after the first game away at Fulham, the performances have been below par in some respects. You could put in the United game as a masterclass, but even in that, the chances that we had were few and far between. But I guess the chance that we got was the penalty we took. But today's game, from minute 1 to 90, Arsenal was second best, regardless of even the red card. There's enough from Pepe, which I'm sure if that could be a topic of its own. Pepe can be a topic for years. can sit here and debate for ages whether or not he's living up to the hype and the price tag. But other than that, for me, I feel like regardless of the sending off, Arsenal were below par for most aspects of the game. Below par, even defensively, we were held for being, the at one point defensive record in the
I'm not
league.
too sure who's hailing that defense, boy, but yeah.
I mean, had Leeds been a little bit more clinical today, it could have been a cricket
Could have been 13-0.
It could have been a cricket score tonight. But yeah, it's just worrying. It's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? I think I'll go next. In terms of everything that I wanted to say, obviously Felix, in terms of everything that you said, I agree with you. Arsenal from minute one, absolutely. Actually, no, let me not say that, because I think maybe probably like a 10-minute period in the game, the team actually did look really, really, really. Okay, not really, really, but they did look as if they were going for it a little bit. There were a few chances made here and there. You had Willian breaking through down the left-hand side and doing a bit, on the ball, starting to get into the middle, trying to work the space. You had Pepe sort of doing what he does on the right-hand side as well. But I remember I put it in the group chat today, and it's not, everyone kind of thinks I'm a big Lacazette fanboy and everything, and yes, I do love the guy. I've really respected him and liked him as a player for years. But I put in a group chat earlier today, so I said, "Who we scapegoating today, lads?" Because this is the thing with Arsenal fans. And look, I've said so many times, right, that Lacazette is not. I'm not sitting here saying that Lacazette is the Arsenal savior. Lacazette is the best player at Arsenal at the moment, and he should play. And I'm not even going to tell Arsenal fans to get us back, because I think Arsenal fans deserve to get us back, because he hasn't been great. Anybody that knows me, Sam, obviously we talk about Lacazette all the time. I mentioned so many times, I'm not saying he is amazing at the moment. He hasn't been great, but my number one argument has been that why is everybody looking at him as if he is the main problem? I keep saying that. I think now we need to stop concentrating on just one player. Yes, Lacazette is not firing. Cool, that's true. I don't think anyone can dispute that. We need to start looking at Arsenal, the whole attacking unit at this present moment. Let's not look at Lacazette. Let's not look at this person. The entire attack. Because today, I can think of two decent chances that Aubameyang had that he really should have done better with. I can think of a one-on-one that Bukayo Saka had that he could have done better with. And I think it goes back game after game. Even if we rewind, I think it might have been the game against Man City where, Lacazette had a chance, he didn't score. But then you had Aubameyang, who had two chances in that game he didn't put away. You had Saka, who had a 1-1 in that game that he didn't put away. And you kind of rewind and look at all of these chances, and I'm just like, why is it that everyone just wants to get at this one player? Because right now, because I'm like, obviously everyone wants to see Aubameyang up top and everything. We've seen Aubameyang up top today. And I'm not going to lie to you, since this guy signed this contract, I'm not going to say because I know what he can do. I know everyone knows what he can do. He's not a poor player, he's not a poor striker. But the question has to be asked, that since he signed that contract, what is going on with this guy? Because game after game, all I'm seeing is, him doing his nice little bop, walking up and down, trying to get, and I know maybe he is trying on the pitch, maybe he is trying to get into space, but they're just in that service. And if you talk about service, why is a player like Ozil being left out for footballing reasons when there's literally zero creativity on the pitch? Right now, I'm looking at players like Joe Willock, and I'm not going to Willock because I think over the years, he has come under a lot of stick. I've given him stick, but the one thing I will say is that I've seen improvement from Willock. I think that he's actually improving as a player. We've seen that he is getting better as a player. But let's be frank, Willock is not Arsenal standard right now. He is not Premier League standard right now. Similar players like Nketiah and all those guys, they're not Premier League players like right now. Quite frankly, right now, don't even think they should be on the pitch in terms of Premier League games at the moment, except if it's, I don't know, injury or anything like that. But I feel like placing our trust in a player like Willock to create in the midfield and anything like that at the moment in time, at this present moment in time, he's not going to give you anything because the guy's still developing. We're seeing good things happening, but if I'm honest, today, I want to divert and just make my last point on this. But today, the main thing that I don't think worked was, I think Arsenal, again, even though we had 4 back, we played with a handbrake on. If you looked at whenever we had the ball and we were attacking, it was always, all the players just so far away from each other. Everyone seems so spread out. No one seemed to be wanting to sort of like come in the middle, get involved in the game, do this little 1-2 style passing to open up a bit of space here and there. It almost seems as though there was a direct break between midfield and defense and central attack and midfielder and attack. There was like a gap there that, it just couldn't be filled. And going forward, obviously, you always knew that Leeds were going to play with energy. That Xhaka Ceballos pivot, I am very, very surprised that that's the pivot that actually won us the FA Cup. I can't lie to you, I'm very shocked. But however that happened, look, at the end of the day, I'm sure Arteta has proved himself. But you have to say, another question I did ask was, did we sack Unai Emery too early? I asked that question to myself earlier today because I was like, yes, the football was stale. Yes, the football wasn't great. But at the end of the day, could he not have made the same claim that he had a project that he was trying to complete? After only being there at the club for a year and all that kind of stuff, could he not have made that same claim that he had something that he was trying to complete? Did we sack Emery too early? I don't know. But I'm not going to say that Emery was the right man for the job and Arteta is not. But at this present moment in time, as I keep saying, today's performance was absolutely poor. Pepe, I'm not going to lie, I was so disappointed in him. He needs to hang his head in shame a little bit. But again, in terms of the strike force, let's stop targeting Lacazette, honestly. And yes, add him to the problem, but look at the entire attack, because Arsenal's attack at the moment is not firing. I'm not sure why. End of rant. I'm going to go and give it to Sam. That wasn't a very quick reaction, but I'm going to give Sam the final say before we move on.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to touch on all the points that you said, but I think... I think, okay, let me talk about Unai Emery. I think, yes, Unai Emery could have had the argument that he could have, had a project for Arsenal and he needed more time. But I just think it's just a part of the game now. If you're not doing your thing as a manager, unfortunately, managers get sacked within months now. And that's just a part of the game. I think it is, no one really has time to wait around anymore. If it doesn't look like it's going well, then it's time to go. And that's going to be the same for Arteta. As much as we love him and, the tactics seem to have been working well at some points, if he's not getting the results, the same thing has to happen to him. That's just the game now. I think in terms of Lacazette, I'll be honest, I don't think he's been the scapegoat for the club. I generally don't think so, because there have been loads of other players that have been drawn out. The likes of David Luiz has been slaughtered at Arsenal. Xhaka was absolutely burned at Arsenal. I don't think Lacazette even got the stick that Xhaka got. I'll be completely honest with you. Pepe is being slaughtered. Willian is being slaughtered. Like, I genuinely don't think Pepe is holding the weight of the club right. I mean, I don't think Lacazette is holding the weight of the club right now. I think everybody's getting their fair share of stick. I'll be completely honest with you there. Like, today was flat. Considering the fact that before the international break, obviously, we had brought in all these defenders. Our defense seemed to have been improving. And obviously, I don't know what happened to the attack. Because before the new season, our attack was the one that was popping. And we said we needed to deal with our defense in the summer. Managed to get Gabriel in, kept David Luiz for some reason. I don't know. That's Arteta's choice. But it seemed to have been working. Rob Holding was even showing a few glimpses of improvement. But today was just a joke. Like you guys were saying, it could have been a cricket score today. Like, I really don't know what was happening at the back. The woodwork was the man of the match. Like, legit. Woodwork saved us today. Because honestly, I kept saying it. Like, despite the red card as well, despite the handball, which should have been a penalty, we didn't deserve the W today. Like, straight up, we didn't deserve it. And it's upsetting because before the international break, Arteta said, okay, he's going to have to look at the formation. He's going to have to look at the tactics, and something needs to change here. And, he's put Abba up top. Abba was flat today. He didn't deliver. I can't even really tell whether he didn't get the delivery or not, but I know he missed a massive opportunity. The same with Saka. So, questions need to be asked there. I'll be real. If we're going to give that energy to Laka, we have to give it to Aubameyang, despite what he's done in previous season. I think that's why he probably gets a little bit less stick, because, he's won the golden boot for Arsenal. Hey!
Hey, do you know what, yeah? If my internet is anything like last week, I'll just go ahead and leave and not irritate anyone.
This seems better.
Can someone else talk? Because I actually can't hear Sam at all.
Can you not hear me when I'm speaking?
Yeah, I can
No,
hear you.
you can hear you.
Yeah, looks like it's
Nah,
me.
Sam,
It's me, boy.
Okay, yeah.
No,
No, I was just
you finish what
saying
you're
that.
saying.
I was just basically saying that, you know, if we're gonna give stick to Laka, we also have to give it to Aubameyang. He's not pulling his strings. But I think the reason why a lot of Arsenal fans don't give him as much stick is because he has genuinely proved his potential over the last couple of seasons, where we haven't really seen that from Laka reach his full potential, like from when he was in his last season at Lyon. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's probably why he gets a little bit less stick. But yes, we do need to apply pressure on the likes of Pepe. Like today was just like that there is a joke. You can't publicly come out and say that you would like more game time. Because the thing is with Pepe, yeah, first of all, he was showing glimpses, but let's be real, he's been underperforming since he's arrived at Arsenal. Cool. We now gave him the benefit of the doubt and said, oh, he hasn't really had a proper run of games. Like, we need to see him in the side week in, week out. Like, let's bench Willian. Cool. The game he gets to start, he's headbutting guys. What the heck is that? That is unacceptable. Obviously, I know in football nowadays, headbutts are always exaggerated. It wasn't like a Zidane one. Well, you know, it's not one that you'd see in WWE. But you know, you shouldn't be doing that anyways. We know how the game goes. You shouldn't be attempting to do that at all. Like, and now he's out for 3 games, and he really should not be surprised if he doesn't start again for the next couple of months, because that's a joke. But in general, the whole game today, like, I just feel deflated, bro. Like I can't pick anything out of the game, and it's upsetting and it's worrying, because it's like we're going into this next game now. What's going to happen? We'll probably win our Europa League game, yes, but you know, we got the NLD in 2 weeks. Like, Spurs are going to run through us, bro.
Arsenal's fixture list is actually ridiculous.
We
got
the North London derby, obviously.
Yeah.
But even when
the Christmas period is always busy.
Do you know what I mean? But when you compare it to other teams, bro, like other teams have a really, really tight schedule. Like Spurs' schedule is crazy. And the fact that we've already been to Anfield and we've been to City, and we use that as an excuse to say, okay, that's why we had our few defeats. We've now had a defeat to Aston Villa and a draw against newly promoted Leeds. You can say what you want about Leeds, but on paper, they're not better than us. That's just facts. But they managed to get a point out of that game that they should have won. But yeah.
I guess ran over for that one too. it's a tough one today.
I hope I was making sense. I don't even know what I was saying, bro.
You lot need a lot down.
Ralph, you're muted, bro.
I said this is slowly turning into AFTV.
That's the last thing I'm saying about the Guinness today. That's the last thing.
Sam is Thai.
I hate you.
Oh God!
Stop.
Yeah, I think that's it right over. I don't know if Ralph wanted to say anything, but I think that's it, and we can move on. We spent almost 20 minutes on Arsenal.
I was out, and I knew the game was on, but even so, I was still streaming Netflix instead of watching that game. So, because there's no Arsenal do just sit back and defend. Like they're like a Mourinho team, but without the counter attack.
I have to agree with that. I can't lie. I have to agree with that. But yeah, let's just put Arsenal to the side, man. Let's actually get into some promise. I want to hear Rue speak. You guys on some word. He's just sitting there smiling. Did you want to say something before we move on?
Like, I didn't watch it. No, we didn't score. Sorry. I didn't watch it because, you know, I was caught up with other games earlier and completely forgot that was on, to be honest. But from what I've seen, I think you lot are being very, very brutal on the team for a game that could have gone an awful lot worse with the circumstances. Because you've got a very tricky point out of the situation where you've got a player who's headbutted someone, and you could have really gone and lost that 4 or 5 towards the end there, and it could have gotten ugly. I think as much as the problems that Arsenal have got, you've raised them all, I think you need to just take the fact that you've got a point and just put this down to a really bad trip north and just move on from it. And just understand that Arteta is still his infancy as manager. You know, He's not been there long. He's still experimenting. He's still finding his way. And he's very quickly able to sort of weed out the problems with the team. And we were able to very quickly find out what works, what doesn't, because we're seeing it come up in games that's costing you points. So you need patience. You can't, I've seen people saying sack him. You can't just do that. You can't expect people to come in and work miracles overnight. We waited 5 years for Jurgen to win a title. People don't work miracles anymore. Like, you've got to be patient with him. But you've got to be brutal. Because
this is what I was saying though with that. Because the problem with the current what we've seen last season, if had Arteta come in and steady the ship and we had finished 8th with no FA Cup, no Community Shield, no trophies last season, I don't think people will be as brutal as they are this season. I think it's the fact that Arsenal fans have tasted that the success, if you can put it in that way, with the FA Cup and the Community Shield. Now it's just like we want more kind of thing. So with any bad result will come criticism, will come like judgments whether or not he's fit for the job and whatnot. People literally forget that he's literally been in the job for less than a year. So it's immediately like, why are things going bad? I thought you were the man for the job. So it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate for Arteta.
I think it's also because we've seen the potential as well. Like, the thing is, we beat City in the semi-final of the FA Cup. You know, we beat Liverpool in a Community Shield. Whether you think that game's important, the Liverpool players looked deflated after the game. They looked unhappy. But, you know, we went into those type of games and we were putting in performances. So it's almost like, what's happened now? You know, like, to be fair, I don't know about other Arsenal fans, but I'm not begging for the Premier League title. You know, I'm not begging for all those things. Obviously, I want it, and I understand it's going to take a long time. But literally, we went from seeing potential with Arteta to just being like, what is going on? Do you see what I'm saying? And the thing is, I don't want to go into games like West Brom and Sheffield United, all these teams that are, you know, towards the bottom end of the table, and be getting results like this. Like, that would be so demotivating, honestly.
I think Ralph was right. This is slightly turning into AFTV.
Yeah,
I'm gonna move on. Let's move on because before we literally spend because we literally almost spent half an hour on Arsenal already. But you know, that's what happens when you're passionate about something. But anyway, I'm sure we'll come back to it at the end again if we sort of like have anything else to say after everything. But let's move on to the first topic. I'm just trying to see if I've spelled it correctly. I think I have. First topic of what we're going to discuss today, and that is, can Tammy Abraham become an elite striker? And I kind of mentioned this topic earlier on during the week because I was watching the Chelsea game yesterday, and of course I saw him score, and I started thinking to myself, wait, Tammy Abraham, do you know, I've been hearing that name for years. How old is he? And then I typed in his name, and I typed that he's only 23 years of age. So realistically, he is still part of, like, if you will, those kind of like young players still up and coming, if you get what I mean. 23 is not that old at all. I mean, he's in around the same age as Gabriel Jesus. So he is still super, super young. And for the stuff that he's done, obviously, with Chelsea last season, for a period, he was actually a scorer. I believe he actually hit double figures in the league last season as well. So, you know, he's... I kind of look at him. I look at his size and his pace and all kind of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, you know, if he can work on other areas in his game, can he not be a complete striker? His size, he's great for heading and all that kind of stuff. He's got the hold up play down because he's very physical. He's strong. His finishing obviously can be better, but you know, when he's in and around the box on this day, he can actually tuck away and score goals. We saw that yesterday anyway. And you know, he can, you know, work with other people. I kind of see his link-up play with Callum Hudson-Odoi in that Chelsea team sometimes, and the 1-2 that he's playing with someone like Mason Mount and all that kind of stuff. You know, with a bit of work, can he not become one of England's top strikers, if you will? And let me go some first. What do you think about that question? Do you think Tammy Abraham has the ability or the potential to become an elite striker?
What, did you ask me?
Yeah, Sam, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even hear my name. I'll be honest. I don't think he has the ability to become an elite striker. But obviously, there's definitely room for more improvement. And you got to also consider that he's holding that cursed number 9 shirt at Chelsea, bro. The likes of I think Torres wore that number, Higuain, Falcao. Some of the guys that have worn that number 9 shirt have been absolutely poor for that club. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the eliteness. I don't see the potential. I'll be completely honest. I remember a few people were comparing his stats to Marcus Rashford's Premier League goals like 2 years back. But and I rate Marcus Rashford, so it's like, when I saw those numbers, I was like, okay, cool, maybe. But nah, I don't see it happening. And he's got the ability to be good. I'm not gonna say that he doesn't belong in the Premier League. He does. He's proven he can score goals. Done his thing in the Championship at Villa. I think the come up's been good. But to say elite, like when we look at some of the strikers that are in that elite category, I don't even see any trait from him that could potentially put him in that category in the next 5 years. And that's just being honest. But I do think he's a good striker.
I kind of look at, just to throw it in there, because I mentioned double figures last season, 15 goals and 34. I think that's in the Premier League was his stats. Obviously got goals in the Champions League as well, and the EFL Cup and all that kind of stuff over there as well. So yeah, he's obviously last season shown that he can produce numbers. This season, I think he's got 3 goals and an assist in 8 games, which isn't too poor. But yeah, Felix is next on this one. What do you think of Tammy Abraham? Do you think he does have the know-how on his own score? He does have the ability to become, elite striker. And when we say elite, I'm looking at guys who are continuing to grow in the game. Is that kind of mad to think Harry Kane's only like 25 or so? But I don't know if I'm right about that. How old is Harry Kane? He's
younger than we
think. Pretty young.
Younger than we think. Let me double check that. 27.
Okay.
27.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
so
a grown
if you're looking at I mean, but he's still got years left, Harry Kane. If I'm honest, you can still get like a decent 5-6 years.
With
but
Tammy,
that's
that question, that question can literally be put to a lot of young players. Like, can ask, can Nketiah be an elite player? Can Hudson-Odoi be an elite player? Like, it's a question, and well, the elite term is a term that's passed around quite often nowadays. But I feel like whether or not he can be an elite player, obviously, like Sam said, depends on what category you put him in as elite. Like, can he be, an Aguero or Suarez or that kind of top tier talent? I don't see why not. But for me, I just feel like with the way the modern football or the way the game is currently evolving for your strikers, it's not often do you see your big burly like 6 foot plus or 6'3" plus strikers, holding up the ball, playing that tug man style of play. You don't really see that much anymore. Nowadays, it's more like your pacey, low center of gravity, quick technical kind of strikers that are sort of making it into that elite category. I think probably Ibrahimovic might be in that sort of tall elite striker category, but with him, he's pretty good with his feet as well. So I think to answer it shortly, yeah, he does have he can be a good striker, he can be a top striker, but elite wise, I feel like the game has moved past that kind of striker, if you know what I mean. I mean, yes, he is good with his feet, but you can see the difference, like with someone like a Timo Werner, even with his assist for the goal yesterday, how he just blitzed through 2 players and passed it to him for the finish. Like, he's good. He's a good finisher, but with a player like that, you would expect him to be getting a lot of headed goals. I don't think his numbers of headers is as good as his goals with his feet, which is a bit surprising. But yeah, for someone of his size, you would think they would play to his strengths, like just whipping the ball in for him to header it in all the time. But again, with the way Lampard likes to play, and for me, I just feel like the way the modern football is, it's not, you hardly see that anymore, where the old school kind of Route 1 football, just knocking it into your tall striker to bring the ball down and others into play and stuff like that. Now it's more about just getting it behind, using your feet a lot rather than just heading. So I feel he can be a good striker, but elite is it's a stretch.
Before we move on, I was just gonna say, I literally am deep in the fact that we have got guys. I keep saying we actually spent almost half an hour on Arsenal, so our time is fast spent. So we try and keep our comments and everything as condensed as possible. But let me go to Ralph. Ralph, what are you thinking about Tammy Abraham?
Yeah, he's good, man. Good player. He's always been good, even since he was young. I think the opportunities come for him at the right time to start playing with the transfer ban last season. When he started last season, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is a baller. Why has he not been playing? Why has he not been in and around the first team? I think he has the potential. I reckon the reason you lot are asking the question is because you reckon you're going to see like another Welbeck.
That's exactly what was in my head on a serious level.
You see,
another Welbeck. What
like in terms of career-wise, how he potential and expectations that everyone had for him, whether or not he fulfills. Well, I think Tammy can, as long as he gets the opportunities, because he's growing. Like 23 is young, mad young, and he's still scoring goals. He's in the mix. He shows good signs. Could even be Drogba reincarnation. You get me?
Please.
Look, he's 23, bro. I'm not gonna lie. The guy's got you.
It's true.
Give him a chance. Give him a chance. Let him flourish. But I think he's a good player. Potential definitely there, man. He's a baller. These are just a grown up trim. That's it. That's my only flaw.
Do you know what? I think I'm gonna have to start muting Ralph just before he finishes his comments, because you always said something silly at the end.
But Welbeck tried up last week, but now Tammy.
Did you see his header? Tammy almost scored a header yesterday. Good head, like it was a good directed header, and keeper saved. If it didn't come off his Barnet, top corner.
All right, Rue, your last but not least on Tammy Abraham before we move on to the next topic. What do you think about him as a player? Do you think he has the potential to become an elite striker?
I kind of think Chelsea's transfer business might have killed a lot of hope for him, because obviously bringing someone like Werner in, I think, is the biggest disrespect they could have done to him in a sense, because he carried them through a time where they couldn't bring in big names, and he really stepped up. And then as soon as they could bring names, they just threw money at anyone who could play in a forward position and just kick him out of the team. So I see Welbeck in him in a sense that not hope and injuries, but sort of hope and just a lack of respect from the manager above him, pushing him to it. Because I think, well, is Chelsea the right club for him with the players that are there? But then I wonder where on earth he could go and then be considered elite. Because you aren't considered elite if you're the striker for Watford or for, any of these teams like West Brom, are you? You're not considered elite there. You're considered elite if you play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And you're at that level. So that's my fear.
Thursday. Don't leave Thursday.
No ballers play on Thursdays, fam. No ball. That's recovery day. No ballers play on Thursdays, fam.
I was about to say, don't disrespect my team right now, man. Put Thursday in there still. I'm joking. Now carry on. Go on.
Yeah, I just think that bringing someone like Werner in did him dirty in a sense, because that sort of booted him out the starting 11. And I mean, there's every window for him to come back in if he makes Werner look like absolute rubbish. But shit, sorry, I shouldn't be watching a game live. Yeah,
Leicester was scored.
I'm having a heart attack over here watching Manny nearly put one in, and I'm trying to think, actually, is Tammy any good? I don't know. I'm not. But yeah, I just think them bringing Werner in probably killed it off for him to really, truly become an elite. But there is every chance for him to make his claim and show Frank why he should be starting at 9 each week, and he has the ability to do it because we saw it last season. So I think if he's at the right club, he's in the right team, he's in the right place, he's just got to prove himself. and he's got to really, really work for it. Otherwise, I can see it Welbeck in him.
Fair enough. Fully agree with that. And I put that out to everyone watching. Just send your comments in. Tammy Abraham, whether or not you think he's got the potential to be an elite striker, whether or not you think he's toss. Just what you think of him as a player in general. But anyway, we're moving on to the next topic. I believe it's actually one that Sam you brought to our attention actually this week, in terms of the PFA calling for heading to be reduced in training. And I mentioned to you that we've talked about this, like not talked about this, but this has been mentioned for so long. Like, whether heading is obviously science proves it anyway. But just this whole topic around heading, I remember I got to a point when I was in primary school. I remember they were talking about saying that they should try as much as they can to prohibit and stop kids from heading the ball, because it can, ruin their mental faculties early on in their lives before they even grow up and that kind of stuff. Heading football has always been, a tough conversation. So to see that the PFA have called for heading to be reduced in training, I think it's no shock to me. But I was just going to read a quick statement, a quick article from Sky Sports, just a few paragraphs. It says the PFA says a game-wide strategy is urgently needed for dealing with dementia and neurodegenerative diseases in football. It has also asked clubs, leagues, and the Football Association to create a coordinated strategy to measure, monitor, and adapt training, identifying protections that can make a difference to long-term health of players. So obviously not the argument, but the fact or the thing that they brought forth is that heading and all that kind of stuff can have long-lasting effects, because apparently they're seeing that footballers who used to play the game before, obviously heading the ball over and over again, over time they've had more of a history of, or they've had more of a chance of developing stuff like dementia and all those things that go on mentally with your brain. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw the question out there to anybody really. That question, as I said, it's been mentioned so many times. I don't know about you lot, but it actually got to a point where I was okay. When I was a kid, I was just being stupid with it. But I just used to head the ball and just be like, okay, so that's a couple of brain cells dead. Like, I just used to just make stupid jokes like that. But what do you guys think about this in the football sense? Because is it actually going to stop people? Because you can't really do certain training scenarios or train effectively, if you will. Because heading is a part of the game. Heading is a part of football. It's like boxing. You can't sign up for boxing and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sign up, but no, I'm not gonna get punched in the face." Like it's gonna happen. It's one of those things that it's inevitable. So, do you think it's not wise, but do you think it's needed? I guess for aspects of things to be scrapped, because you can stop heading in training, but you're still gonna head at the ball when it comes to your matches on Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you play it. So, is it really going to make a huge difference? I'll go to Ruth, actually. What do you think about that?
Well, see, while you were reading them paragraphs, I saw at least 10 or 11 different people heading the ball. 2 goals we've had tonight. From, I watched Chris Sutton speaking about his dad, who's developed dementia and everything from his day. In his day, when they were heading the ball, they were heading a really solid leather ball and giving it a good whack multiple times a week. And the game has evolved in some aspects, so there is the hope that it can be reduced. But at the same time, it is going to be so impossible to police this kind of issue and say, right, you're not going to be doing headers and this, that, and the other, when each week they're telling them you need to train for set pieces, and it's sort of grown into their DNA that when you're defending a set piece or trying to score a quarter or whatever, one of the first things you do is you try and get ahead on it. I'm not necessarily sure that because I think when we're seeing people who are in the teams in '66 who are developing issues with dementia and everything, I think that is most likely more down to the fact as well that I don't think the game has changed. We're heading more, we're heading less. I think it is the fact that the type of ball we used to play with was causing far more damage, and I think we're going to see it less often now that we've come on from that. And instead of giving these solid leather things a whack each week, we're not doing that. But the game isn't going to change. They're not going to suddenly, we're not going to have VAR turn around and start sending people off to score with his head. We can't stop people doing it. You think now, how many times have you seen a legend score a header as well? It's everywhere. So how on earth do you police it to tell people, look, okay, you're only going to do a session this week and you're only allowed to do 20 minutes of heading or headers and a proper game practice or anything. It's really important that we get it right. But I think instead of saying, right, we're only going to limit it, it's a really obscure example, but there was a game between Chelsea and City last year, the one that won us the title, where Christensen got absolutely smacked in the face with the ball, full-blown long-range strike, straight in the face, fell flat on his back, and wasn't taken off for any concussion or any head injury or anything. Why are we telling them, all right, stop heading in training and not bringing players off because the amount of times I've seen people being advised to basically play on with symptoms of concussion or who look like they're almost drunk out there after they've taken the shot in the headline. I think it's more to do with, I think the first thing we need to do instead of telling people, right, don't go headers in training, I think it's got to come down to the actual games themselves. Because I think the management of players when there's possibility for head injury has been horrific at every level. Mm-hmm. So, sorry, I'm ranting on, but I just think it's daft when people don't go doing headers. Because then you'll go.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Park.
I suppose Felix, you can go next, then if you're.
I agree with what we said 100% because obviously it's not necessarily to say to scrap the research or scrap the all the work that's gone into look into it, but like we said, it's gonna be very hard, very difficult to implement that kind of or to police as we put it to in the modern game. Maybe in sort of like the developmental stages when they're kids or something like that. But in terms of the high or top end like Premier League or Europe or all of that, it's going to be very difficult to implement something like that. And yeah, I mean, obviously the whole thing came from I think from 1966, like the Nobby Stiles, who unfortunately passed away recently, did stuff from Denshire. So it's an unfortunate thing. But like we said at the time, the footballs then were just a solid block of leather, and it was just tough to hit and all that. But I feel like now with where modern technology come and the way footballs are being designed now, a lot of thought and that kind of research can be taken into that aspect as well. Sort of see how you can design the ball in a way where it takes less effect if you headed the ball, if you get walloped straight into your face and stuff like that. And also with the way officiating come now, where if there's any signs of a head injury or anything, the game is immediately stopped and the person that is suffering it is treated and stuff like that. That also is, for me, I feel like that's ways you can sort of keep an eye on it rather than just saying you can't header a ball, because again, it's part of the game. You can literally use a part of your body to control a ball or anything, apart from your hands, of course. But to just scrap one, to just say no, you can't header the ball anymore, it's going to be very difficult to implement. So for me, I feel like maybe just look into the technology or how the footballs are being designed, or maybe provide support to any of the the ex-footballers, ones that retired a long time ago, ones that have recently retired, or anything like that, just to sort of scan them, investigate anything that could maybe lead to anything potentially damaging in the future.
Yeah, totally agreed with that one as well. The last comments to obviously Ralph and Sam. I'll go to Sam first. Would you obviously you would have been looking at this topic earlier than all of us, because obviously you brought to us. So I just kind of wanted to find out what you thought about this as well.
No, I definitely agree with what Felix said last. I think the most important thing in this situation right now is that the Premier League and the FA are providing support to a lot of these families of retired players, ex-players that are, that could potentially suffer from long-term illnesses, because Chris Sutton said over the weekend that a lot of like their partners and stuff are having to spend 24 hours a day taking care of them. And all of this has come from sport. Obviously, it's a sensitive topic, of course. Like nobody wants anyone to suffer from any long-term illnesses. Nobody wants anyone to, pass away because of, the sport that they played. They contributed to the sport. At the end of the day, anyone that does play the sport should be respected, should be looked after once they retire. But yeah, like I have to agree with the boys. Like I have to say, reducing the headers in games wouldn't make any sense. I think it would eventually ruin the game, definitely. But at the same time, I think if headers were reduced in training, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. Because even though we know that the balls back in the day were, much more harder than the balls now, we don't necessarily have a player from our era that is currently, 87, roughly around that age. So we don't actually know whether the balls now would have the same effect. So I think if we can avoid the risk, then by all means do it. Like I don't think, Harry Kane wouldn't know how to header if he's not allowed to do 15 less headers in training. Like I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? And we actually have to. It's better. Prevention is better than cure. We might as well just try and avoid it from now, because we don't want to have to. We don't want to hear in 30 years the likes of David Beckham and stuff are getting long-term illnesses. You don't want to hear that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's better to obviously prevent it from now. But I do understand why people wouldn't want it to happen, because I remember Joe Cole was saying something on this topic, and he was basically saying it's a great career, but there's consequences. And when you give your life to a sport, when you dedicate to a sport, you have to understand that you're giving your body, you're giving everything, and there's a strong chance of you developing an illness. I'm pretty sure the likes of the late Muhammad Ali would have known that. He would have known that boxing's a risk. If Nigel's, he would have vouched for it, that a lot of boxers end up with mental illnesses or Parkinson's disease, that kind of thing. So it's when you get into the sport, there's a massive risk. So I can understand why people wouldn't want it to be reduced. But like I was saying before, prevention is better than cure. I don't think there's a problem with getting rid of it. You know what I mean? In training.
Fair enough. Ralph, the last comment comes to you on that one for the heading to be reduced in training. What do you think?
I think being able to head a football is a fine art. Like even like Calvert-Lewin, he'd have about 2 goals this season if he weren't allowed to head a ball. So I just hope. I understand, but I hope it doesn't then like develop into let's now stop it in games or reduce it in games, or because I think maybe you're telling man, headed the ball 15 times less in training, but maybe it's those 15 times that help them fine tune their technique and heading that football, that the difference in being able to score that winning goal, maybe even if it is in one match, that one match is the match that helps them stay up. It's all mad techie and all of that, but I understand the safety precautions. But I think it would be most effective, like KIRK said, to do it when you're young, you're a child, your body's still developing, your head's not yet literally hard enough to be heading a football. So like I don't know how they've done the studies, whether they've taken into account that these guys might have been heading footballs when they were children, when their sort of cranial wasn't fully formed and developed. Do you get me? So it's I don't understand. I can't give much of an opinion without looking at, I'd say, like the scientific research behind the decision.
Understood. I do not want to take away from the seriousness of this situation, but something mad happened in this Liverpool game, and I cannot believe what I'm seeing. Anyway, that was crazy. It was
who's off?
just a chance.
Did they
and, like,
level?
No level, but it's like that's basically the kind of player you see in FIFA still. Liverpool almost scored, and they just like, Firmino hit the post. Michael save it hits the post. It hits the post. Like it just kept hitting the post. But anyway,
goes than Firmino this season, isn't it?
My favorite CDM, Firmino.
But anyway, guys, let me just put it out there that I want to see if we can get the stream wrapped up in the next like 15, 20. So
yeah,
we'll crack on quickly and just share our thoughts, because I think we've got one or two more things to be talking about. So yeah, that's it for the call for heading to reduced in training. I think I thoroughly agree with what everyone has said anyway. But the last topic, of course, is what's happening to Sheffield United. And I think obviously Ru's the one that mentioned this one, but I have to agree. I'm not exactly sure where they finished last season, but I do know they had a very, very decent season for a team that literally just came up.
I'll check that.
To say they finished behind Arsenal. So you know where that was?
Just behind Arsenal, were they? Just behind.
They were behind us.
Okay, so we finished 8th, so they must have been 9th. If that's the case. But yeah, Sam, if we could just say that would still be great. But yeah, if they finished 9th for a team that literally just got promoted, that's if they finished.
No
9th.
Dean Henderson, that's why.
Yeah, ninth finished.
Yeah, they were 9th. For a team that just got promoted. That's not bad to come up to the Premier League and be a mid-table side. That's a lot of the time seen as a plus. It's seen as something that's actually brilliant for a team like that to do. And Ralph, you very well might be right that it might not be, or it might be for Dean Henderson to be the decider with that one. But I want to give Rue the first word on Sheffield United, because I kind of think of some of the players that they have really within their ranks, whether or not they're all playing is another story altogether. But the likes of Ollie McBurney, Muse, and Big Dave McGoldrick. I always say Dave McGoldrick just turns into Messi or like Prime. He channels different things. Sometimes he's Prime R9. Sometimes he turns into Cristiano Ronaldo. Sometimes he flicks a bit of Zidane there. He literally just turns into something whenever he's on the pitch. But against some of the big teams, he's proved his worth for Sheffield United. But this year, I think they're obviously so cold last. I'm not too. I don't even think they've won a game this year at all. I'm not even sure if they've even taken a point from anywhere. But they are dead last. They currently don't even know where their goals are going to come from. And last season they were, beating teams like Arsenal, although that's not very hard to do. But yeah, they were beating teams like Arsenal. Giving teams like Liverpool a game. Giving teams like Liverpool a game and all that kind of stuff. What's happened to them, do you reckon? Ruth first.
I don't. This is the thing, because I thought it was definitely worth it, because I can't work out how a team could possibly challenge for first ever experience in Europe, and then suddenly be giving Derby's relegation record a good run for its money. Because I saw a decision earlier that basically, I'm really sorry to cut off. We've been denied a goal by literally a millimetre. Oh,
yeah, I've just seen that. That's crazy.
Oh, sorry, that hurt me. Yeah, I saw a stat earlier that said there's only 3 teams that have had a point by 9 games in their history. One of them's their neighbours, Sheffield Wednesday, and one of them's Man City before the filthy rich owners turned up and made them match their well-beaten outfit. So I don't really know. Because I know there's so many seasons we see a team come up from the Championship and then just completely bomb straight back out of it, i.e. this year being Fulham maybe, because they've hardly put on much since they've come up. I wonder if it's, they were away for 12 years from the Premier League and then came back up. I wonder if it's sort of that sort of rush of finally being back in the big league is sort of drained out of them. And I wonder if there's a lack of motivation in them because, they came close to a European place. Didn't quite get it, settled for 9th. That was beyond any expectation for them. And this season, Ollie McBurney looked completely sort of lacking in any confidence in front of goal, not just for Sheffield, for Scotland as well. The guy just cannot seem to get it right. And, there's a couple of other players. Well, I just wonder, And I know Ralph said as well, Dean Henderson going, but I don't think it's all come down to lack of goalkeeper. I think it's just lack of effort in front of goal. I wonder if it's more a motivational thing. Now that the rush of actually being back and wanting to not instantly get relegated is gone, is there now just have they sort of gone? So what? Like we're still here. It's the right man trying to kick them on, or is there something deeper than that? Because they're really leaving it worryingly late to start hitting the panic button at this stage.
Yeah, no, I fully agreed. I do think it's a very good point you make there in terms of it might have just been the rush. I'm gonna go to Ralph next. I mean, obviously you're looking at some of the names that they've got in their ranks now with Rian Brewster, Sander Berger, and Sander Berger. I think he was actually pretty decent for them. He's actually all right this season. If I'm honest. He's actually probably been one of their bright spots this season. But Brewster from Liverpool being added to their ranks, Ethan Ampadu, although I'm not entirely sure if he actually plays that much. Oliver, but some of these names that actually play week in, week out. I know Egan was the centre back was quite renowned last season as well. But I mean, you listen to all of these guys in their ranks, and it's still not working. What would you put down to, Ralph?
At the start, the recruitment looked promising. Like, right, they're bringing in all these young guys. They brought in Hardy, like you said, Rian Brewster, Jaden Bogle from Derby, who's doing bits. And then I think it might just be a case of they ain't brought in players that are sort of suited to the Premier League, that have proven themselves in the Premier League, that have got experience. I personally think experience is the most overrated quality, like the most, because if you're good, you're good. But you do need it, and there needs to be that balance between ability and experience, and maybe that's something they haven't done. Because look at when players were you should have looked like, see when players are getting relegated with their team, someone like Troy Deeney, why don't you try to get him back in the Premier League with you? Or you saw like with what Brighton have done with Danny Welbeck, why don't you try and bring Danny Welbeck to Sheffield? Do you get me? I think Rian Brewster is a bad boy player. That little stint he had at, was it Swansea? He's scoring mad goals, doing amazing, but that's not Premier League. Do you get me? So I just think players that have played in the Premier League, a bit of experience, also to come in with them younger guys that are good, to then, I don't know, just gel it. But maybe that's where with recruitment, maybe it's just the recruitment, and on top of that, momentum, desire, hunger to still be in the Premier League after being away for 12 or so years has maybe disappeared. But that's my sort of analysis on it. But I'll be real, I don't be watching Sheffield United to be knowing what's going on, because why am I watching Sheffield United?
No, but if you don't watch Sheffield United, that's a very good point. Their recruitment. You sort of look at the team right now, and they haven't really got Premier League proven players in there, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I would have agreed to dip down into some of the players or some of the teams that have gone down with Norwich and the likes of Watford and all those guys.
And
And
someone like Timmy Pukki, you get me, like players like that.
Someone you can pick out of there. I agree. I fully agree. Felix, I'll go to you next with Sheffield United. What do you think about that? Their demise.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what the boys said already. It's like that sort of coming into the Premier League, that sort of buzz that you get. I mean, obviously we saw it last season or the season before? I think it was last season with Norwich. Unfortunately, they got relegated in that same season, but that sort of bounce that you get, the buzz. Obviously with Sheffield, they ain't been in the Premier League for a while, so them coming up, motivation. There was just a lot of energy around them, and obviously the finishing ninth. It's like when you look at it realistically, they punched way above the weight, like to get there. And I think from that as well, going to the recruitment topic, I feel like we sort of saw that obviously they don't have the same financial power as the other teams, like your Evertons and your Crystal Palaces, and just teams around that sort of mid-table position, Arsenal, that you can kind of compete against financially. So then that's when you sort of have to look at, and who can we bring in to sort of make us more stable in a sense. I think they've spent maybe 56 million over the transfer window. Which, think about it, it seems like a lot. In today's money, that can get you one good player with the inflated prices nowadays. But yeah, I feel like maybe the problem might have fallen with recruitment in one aspect, and also maybe the fact that they had that buzz of just coming to the Premier League straight away. Because I mean, to finish ninth in one season and then in the new season get 1 point out of a possible 27 is a bit shocking, to be
It's
honest.
So they
embarrassing.
have got a point.
Yeah, yeah, but
They have got a point.
you can point it to a lot of things, but I feel like for me it's hard to pinpoint one actual reason or why they're not doing as well as they should. Because I mean, Chris Wilder last season was regarded as one of the best managers of the season with how well he performed, and in the new season now he's not even in the picture. It's
Agreed.
interesting.
Agreed. Definitely. I was nodding while you were speaking, and to agree with what you were saying, but also I just saw Bobby Firmino just score a pretty sick header still. So that's 3-0 to Liverpool. And you saw Root start biting.
Is that his first goal? Is that his first goal at Anfield in a while, or is he done already?
I think first at Anfield since the 5-3 against Chelsea, which was July, I think. So a little while.
Yeah, because he broke that thing because he hadn't scored at Anfield for like a year or something like that, and he broke that I think a few months back. But no, Felix, I'm in agreement with everything. So look, I'm in agreement with everything you said. I'll give the final word to Sam, who's waiting patiently at the top right hand side. In terms of Sheffield United,
I agree with what everyone's saying. I was going to even talk about their recruitment because if you look at Ryan Brewster, he's 20 and produced 19. It's like, who are you really going to rely on? I know a lot of young players are doing their thing, like Ralph was saying. It's not necessarily always about the experience. If you're good, you're good, but you don't necessarily want to rely on 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds to keep you up in the Premier League, especially when you're not one of the best in the league. So I think that's when a major problem for them. And obviously them losing Dean Henderson, going back to United from the loan, I think that was a massive, massive thing for them because he gave them a lot of confidence at the back. Like some games, they were unbelievable. So I think them losing Dean Henderson as well. But if I'm honest, I'm not sure. I just guess it just looks like it's just one of those things that happen in football. You know, you see a team doing well and then they just
drop,
flatten. But I don't see much changing for them unless they obviously pull off a miracle in January transfer window. But obviously the pandemic has allowed a lot of teams to lose money. But I pretty much would put them down as one of the teams getting relegated. And the thing is, I wouldn't have done that at the start of the season. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have done that at the start of the season at all. So to see them in this position is quite shocking. They're even doing worse than Fulham. And Fulham look like a worse team. Like
they can't even score a penalty at the moment.
Fulham, do you know what I mean? But Fulham look like a worse team, and they're even doing worse than that. So yeah.
I fully agreed. Again, with Sheffield United, I think everyone's point makes sense. The Sheffield United last season was actually one of the teams I actually kind of feared because they were like that underdog that could defeat you. But now, I mean, 1 point in 27, you have to say, I can't lie, that's a relegation. Like even before we even cross Christmas, I think that they're definitely going down. But anyway, we're making good time, I guess, as we said again. So we'll go to the marquee matchups bit. I think for the Liverpool Leicester City bit, I'm just gonna give only Rue's word on that one because I think Rue's only literally paying attention to the full game right now. Whether or not Felix and Sam and Ralph are watching, I don't even know. But I'm watching it. But I want to I'll give Rue full license to just rip on that one, and then we'll end the stream with that. But this is a very humbling title or very humbling match. I think this was a very humbling match. What the thing I've just put on the screen now, a very humbling match for every single Arsenal fan in the country. Because me and my stupid mouth, I remember saying to Felix, if Spurs in this game, they're winning the league. And lo and behold, they didn't win the game. They absolutely decimated City to the point where they did not know whether they were coming or going. And it was such a peak match. But now we're gonna go to a question that I never thought I'd ask in this time of my life.
Lifetime.
Anyway, I was about to say lifetime, but I decided to change it to this point in my life. Anyway, do you think Spurs are actually, let's say, Liverpool's contenders now to win that Premier League trophy this year? I just want a yes or no and a quick answer. I'll go to Ralph first.
Yeah, it's possible. But also, it's not.
Bro, you can't.
No, I just don't know yet. Do you know what I think? I don't know if they have the longevity and the are able to maintain this. Yeah, but the factor that will allow them to maintain good results is who their manager is. You get me? Because he's now got a squad that he's comfortable with. He's content with. I heard him saying that he's happy with the squad. The squad is good. He said there's if it was another team, Tottenham were banging under a different manager and they were doing well coming up to Christmas, doing well. Second half of the season, I won't expect them to carry on doing the same thing. But because when we saw that Chelsea team, when Mourinho had them all guns blazing, when they won the league, the most recent time he won the league with Chelsea, and then the second half of the season they were just defensive, grind out results. If I don't know if Tottenham can sort of maintain or adapt and change in a way that will allow them, same way like you'll see in a fight, like you'll see a fighter in a boxing match, you'll see him just being defensive, where then when it's time to crack on, he's doing what he needs to do. So I just hope they can't. Like I really, truly, I hope they finish mid-table. I hope they have like a stinking and just lose every single game. They can.
If we ever need to see Bottle Job FC, it has to be now. Still,
I feel like
I'll never support Arsenal again if Tottenham win the league in my lifetime. I said it here. And it's
how would you have felt 2 years? How would you have felt 2 years ago if they lifted that Champions League trophy?
Do you know what? I would have found a way to blag it. Oh, it's a cup, man.
Champions League. You can't go to hiding, bro.
Anything can happen in cup
competition. Go to hiding, man.
But in the league, you need a certain level of consistency.
That's
they
30
get that
games,
us,
bro.
Yeah?
30 games.
It's true.
Are you crazy? Bro, do you know what it is? Thierry Henry has to suffer somehow because it's his fault that I'm even in bondage with this team.
You're not the only one, bro. You're not the only one, man.
But yeah, that's Tottenham.
Yeah, understandable.
Man City had like 80% possession
in the game. But they cracked. They basically did.
They just
exactly
break
what
them
Arsenal
down.
did last season. FA Cup. They just literally sat in.
They can take the ball home. I'll take the 3 points. Real G.
Yeah, they literally sat in and broke on them. But we'll continue on. I'll go to Sam next. Same question to you, bro. Do you think Tottenham are Liverpool's rivals to win the league this season? And yes or no, and quickly why?
Yeah, no, 100%. I do think Spurs are. We have to start considering Spurs as title contenders. Like you can even argue.
How are you saying that? How are you saying that with no, like you saying it?
Because, bro,
I think it's accepted, man.
Don't let me talk about Arsenal, bro. Because that question can make me talk about them. When you lay off weight, it no longer affects you. Do you understand? It no longer gets you upset. You're able to talk freely about other things. All right, cool. So. Yeah, no, we have to consider them as title contenders. Like some people can even argue that they're in better form than Liverpool right now, and Liverpool are doing very well. Sorry, it's the truth. It's a
good point. It's a good point. I can't lie. It's a good point.
I think they do have the longevity. I'm not gonna lie. I do think they do because they have brought in recruitment and they have depth on the bench now. Last season they didn't have that, and Mourinho was adamant about getting some new recruitments in the summer, and he did it. But at the same time, we've also seen this from Spurs when they've been in form and then everything crashes again.
It's the history of the Tottenham.
Because right now, I'm starting to feel like when Mora put in that final goal against Ajax in that Champions League semi-final, I'm starting to feel that type of vibe now. Like it's really hurting. you see what I'm saying?
I can genuinely never forget that day. I can't forget that day in my lifetime.
I don't want Spurs to see success, bro. Like, it's crazy. But let me be real. If they win the league, I don't think they can
hold it, man.
We haven't won it in so long. That will give them bragging rights. That's the only reason why they can chat to Arsenal. But they will still be below us. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? They still have a long way to go. But yeah, if Spurs win that Premier League title, it's gonna be crazy still. But yeah, we have to consider. Let's not be delusional here. They're definitely title contenders now.
Just a quick stat for you. Arsenal are 13th, Wolves are 13th, Wolves are 12th, sorry, Arsenal are 11th with 13 points, Wolves are 12th with 13 points, and Man City are also below Wolves. So Man City are 13th right now with 12 points. It's crazy. They've had a poor season. But yeah, Felix, finally to you. Tottenham contenders, yes, no, and quickly why?
I feel like with the way this season is going, they have to be considered. But at the same time, looking at the table right now in terms of who's in and around us, obviously you got Liverpool, you got Tottenham, you got Liverpool, you got Chelsea, and you got Leicester as well, all in and around the same points. There's literally a two point difference between all four of the teams. So unfortunately, as an Arsenal fan, and obviously as a neutral, you can literally say, yeah, they're title contenders because you have no affiliation like with that team or their rivals. But as an Arsenal fan, it does pain to consider that they could be lifting that trophy in a couple of months' time. I mean, the thing is, with Tottenham right now, with what they're seeing, obviously Jose Mourinho seems to have unlocked a formula that is literally working for them because they are a well-oiled machine right now. I feel like they have the quality in attack to literally score 2, 3, 4 goals, and they have the stability in defense to not concede. Jose Mourinho is hailed as Mr. Park the Bus. So you will not be surprised. You weren't surprised when they scored that second goal against City. They literally just shut up shop. And City literally could not do anything against them after that second goal went in. Even after the first goal went in, they just look so solid or so well organized on the pitch. And that's one thing. Obviously, a lot of people banter Mourinho for being part of the boss, but at the end of the day, you have to be well organized to be able to play that tactic. And Tottenham were, I'm trying to say it without gritting my teeth, but they played really well. They played really well, and it's for a team. They've scored 21 goals and they've conceded 9. They now have the best record in the league. So it's like you have to consider them. Obviously, like you said, Kirk, you hope that their bottle job nature.
I think we lost Felix for a sec. Yeah, I think we've lost Felix for a sec. But yeah, no, I fully agree with everything you're saying. I think he was about to say you hope that their bottle job nature will creep in and they'll stop. So, not stop, but they'll start creeping down the table because there's a lot of football still to be played. I want to see if you can come in and finish this point in a second, but I'll give that final word then quickly to Ru. And then keep in mind, Ru, that you've got the Liverpool-Leicester City game to talk about as well. So the quicker you finish this one, the quicker you can get onto that and talk about the real team that you want to talk about. But I'll give you the final point on Spurs and actually winning the Premier League title. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you.
Wait till they come to Anfield.
Okay.
Let's show them who's the contender.
You said that about Atletico Madrid too.
You know what? It was such a cool moment, and then you
Sam's
dropped
so
that.
bitter, man. Sam, you just have to let go and just let life be how it is, man. They will not.
Bro, when your club and your national team are both suck, it's not easy.
Matter of fact, I need to unfollow Arsenal on all socials right now.
But go on.
That was
you quickly finish your point.
Oh, Sam, that cut deep.
Sorry, man.
Wait. They said this with Leicester last year. They were like, "Oh, Liverpool's got a new challenger." 4-0 on Boxing Day. Let's see who wins that battle, and then we'll start picking our contenders. It's November. We've seen that they can beat City. Great. Have they got the stamina? We haven't. We still haven't done Christmas yet. So we'll see. But straight no from
I like the comments there. I'll give you your final word so you can finish quickly on Spurs before we move on to the final bit of the podcast. But yeah, go on. You were talking about bottle job instincts.
Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I was just saying that I just hope they they live up to that. That's pretty much all I was saying before it cut off.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So Rue, the platform is now just Leicester versus Liverpool. I'm actually quite surprised. Well, it 3-0, didn't it? I'm actually quite surprised at Leicester because I think they're actually really, really poorly today. But we all know Anfield isn't an easy place to go to. So I mean, a lot of the time we're talking about Liverpool. Sorry, not Liverpool, but Leicester actually being title contenders this season as well because of how well they've done since the beginning of the season, being in and around the top and everything. So you take the floor with this one and talk to us about the game. Talk to us about Liverpool's title hopes. Yeah, we'll end with that.
Yeah. I think it says an awful lot about Liverpool when we're calling Leicester title contenders because we've seen them beat City, beat Arsenal. Did they? I can't remember if they did.
Of course they did. Who doesn't?
They're beating all these top teams and everyone's calling them title contenders. But I think it says a hell of a lot about Liverpool when they come to us and everyone's saying, can they mount a challenge? And twice when they've said that, we've now put 3 goals on them tonight, 4 on Boxing Day when they last said it. That's us now 64 games unbeaten at home, which is a club record, which means the era of people like Dalglish and all that lot back in the 70s, 80s is eclipsed. And that really should say it all about how
did you not get beat in the Champions League at home?
in the league.
Oh. I wasn't even trying to troll. I was actually asking.
Nah. The 64 games unbeaten in the. I don't know what Chelsea's number is for us to get that record because I think they went 80 something, which is ridiculous. But I think that's been our best performance of the season so far. We've had games like Sheffield where we've given away, and West Ham where we've given away soft goals. We've had the game against Villa, which was diabolical. We've had Leeds put 3 on us. So everyone's been questioning us defensively. I think that is the best showing we've put in against one of the best attacking teams in our league. We've been blessed with the fact that Fabinho's just made it in time to play a full 90, but we've honestly been so much better than I was expecting with everything that's gone on. I'm really surprised Leicester didn't get anything out of it, but then they just didn't look like they were up for it at all. Some of them, Barnes came off really early on because he was hardly contributing. Evans has had an absolute shocker by scoring a sensational header into the wrong net. I am very sort of in 2 minds about it because I know that we're not at our best at the minute, but at the same time that looked way more improved from what I've seen in other games this season because the goals against teams like West Ham and Sheffield were so soft and so stupid, and yet all those mistakes that we've been making on the regular seem to have just gone out the window. So I've really enjoyed that. Firmino gets his confidence back and finally gets a goal on, so that should give him a boost. Jota's continuing being Jota. And I see when you mentioned Spurs and title challenges, the only team I'm seeing consistency. I know we got spanked 70, but I still think we're the only team that can legitimately say this year's over again. I'm going to live on that hill and probably die on that hill now that I've said it on a podcast. But we're just so good at, even in moments where people think we're not really at our best, we're not able to get it done, churning out an unexpected result that gives everyone that confidence again, because everyone doubted us after this international break with injuries, and we've just beaten a really good Leicester team more than comfortably. So I know there's a long way to go, but and Christmas is the one that usually finishes a lot of people off. But they said that about us last season. We went 8 games out unbeaten with 8 wins on the trot over the December period, didn't we? So there's a lot to do, but I think we're a hell of a lot better than we have been the rest of the season. So Leicester, I think Leicester will get top 4, but that bad day at the office should probably sum up how they played, because that wasn't the Leicester that beat City 5-2. I don't know, but yeah. 10 out of 10.
I think Leicester didn't play well. A lot of times it looked like they were scrambling for things. But Liverpool, I think that's more of a testament to Liverpool and how they play, because Leicester aren't really the type of team to come into a game where they're not mentally there or mentally focused in the game and everything. So I think that's probably more testament to Liverpool. And I think you're right. Thinking about what they've where their minds have been with injuries and all that kind of stuff. Because I would have been one to say that Liverpool were dropping off as soon as you lost, your Van Dijks, Joe Gomez, and all that kind of stuff. I would have been one to say that you guys are actually finished now. But I think what Klopp is showing that again in terms of squad depth, what he can do and what this team can do rather than what individuals can do, and it's great to see. But yeah, Liverpool, I think in and around the top. I think everybody probably would have said Liverpool were top to win the Premier League this season. But on my final word for Spurs, I honestly do still think, they are title contenders. Unfortunately for me, because, I think I'm seeing a different side to them. Usually, I don't know. I think they look different. They look really, really different. When you get that feeling and you look at a team and you're like, okay, now this team actually looks really different. I get that feeling when I look at Spurs and I look at the team and the way they play and the way Minton and Harry Kane are doing their thing right now. So I think they do have, as Sam said, and as a few people question, but as Sam said, I think they might have the longevity in them. However, I think there's still a lot of football to be played. Not too sure. Obviously, they're beating Man City. Still got Liverpool, the likes of United, which that's something to the side. Even teams like Leicester and all that kind of stuff. And certain teams that will give you a game, give you a tough time as well to come in their run. And especially this Christmas period is going to be a tough one. And even Chelsea, looking at their attack, I think is going to be another test for them. So there is still a lot of football to be played. It's going to be difficult for them, but we'll see how the season pans out. And I think we'll have a clearer view of everything after the Christmas period. But hey, that is the end of our podcast today. We actually got there in the end, lads. Apologies for anyone that joined and had to listen to us rant for half an hour about Arsenal. I think we really just had to get off our chest. It was a bit of a painful one for us today. But as we say all the time, make sure that you head over. To be fair, if you go on YouTube and you go to the bottom, you'll see the links to at Reveal Footy, the social media pages on Twitter and Instagram, where we post regularly, in fact daily. There's stuff that go on there, like different goals on FIFA. There's news on African footballers playing from all over the world. Goals that African players are scoring, or moments that they're producing in things like Champions League, Europa League, and in the Premier League, and all their respective leagues around the world. So make sure you head over there and check that page out. Again, as we say, some of these videos get clipped up and put on there as well. So also go ahead and check out, some of our past episodes that we've had on YouTube as well. But as we said, we're coming to you every Sunday with this content. If you've got any suggestions on topics and stuff that you want us to talk about, let us know. But thank you so much for joining us, guys. And we will see you again next week for another episode of the Reveal Podcast. Take care.